Now, Brazil, I admire Brazil, having come from almost obscurity, and as with repatriation of funds by expatriate, nationals all over the world, Brazil has been able to come up and now is a major force in South America. But there are two enemies that are bedogging Brazil to such an extent that something has to be done, or else all the progress and all the achievements might be rendered obsolete, ineffectual. And I'm looking at crack, and I'm looking at Carnival. Now, I read an article where maybe author is saying that 5 year and 6 year old children are hooked on crack. Can you imagine that? These are babies. They haven't even gone to school as yet. And they're hooked on crack. It is called Cracolandia. And large parts of the capital um, are sort of segregated and devoted to just drug addicts. And, the whole culture that goes with it, and the defecating in public, the shooting up needles in the public, the begging, the stealing, the shooting, the killing, the whole 9 yards. All that is right there. And, the ladies in double as crackolics and also prostitutes, real cheap, etc., passing on AIDS and other sexually transmitted diseases. But when you look at Carnival, I know Brazil is renowned for its Carnival, the pageantry, the phantasmagoria, the novelty, the um, the nostalgia. It's just extraordinary. And what I've known from living in Trinidad, societies that have Carnival as a regular yearly um, festival, it is important to understand some things about it. First of all, um, I recall on my campus it was a theological liberal arts college, but still theology is the heavy department on campus. One of the lecturers was making a presentation on Carnival time, and he said that this person had his tent in which the Calypsonians, the singers, the ones that create the songs for the Carnival season, had a sort of a place where he invited the public and he would present his renditions, past, present, and so on. And in the interim, there was a lady who came from the back starting a striptease. There's interlude playing, and she's from the back taking off all her clothes. And by the time she reached up to the stage, she was as she wanted to be, and then she started to do the gymnastics and the this and that and so on. And people said, "Wow!" Well, the newspaper covered it, and the next night, the place was filled because everybody wanted to get a peep show while paying just for the calypsos. And so this professor was talking about it. See, look what things have come to. This man has this decent show, and then up come this lady and started to spoil it. Well, the folks, it wasn't no spoiled. The folks liked it, man. And of course, striptease and all that was kind of illegal, I guess. And so what happened is that this person whose so-called festival was spoiled, he will pay a hooker to go to somebody's show and do the same, and somebody else pay to come to his show. So they do it complementary to each other, maybe not at the same time, but at different times, and it helps to spur up the sort of attendance, and they like that. So you can't charge him with hiring a prostitute to do some striptease or whatever. It's like, I didn't do it, and he would do it to somebody else, so the other person didn't do it. You know what I mean? And so we laughed at him because he should have known that Carnival is not church, and it's not, regular thing. Now, Carnival, the word Carnival comes from two different words. One is festival, which is a party, and carne, carne, which is like flesh. And Paul was admonishing the people in in the New Testament to be spiritual or carnal. Either it could be carnal minded or spiritual minded. You can't be both. And so he was referring to you be lusting and sexual and all that stuff, as opposed to being spiritually in mind with Jesus and the whole keeping your mind up to a certain level and so on. And so they combine flesh with a party, so it's a flesh party. And this is all that happens in Carnival: sex, 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 sex. And what happens is that if you know a nice lady that you really would like to, have a one night stand with or whatever, marry her, etc., you just find out if she's playing in a band, and you happen to either can afford to play in that band. By the way, people save up all year round. They'll even eat nothing just to be able to play themselves for Carnival and the children and so on. Buy the costume just good for a day or a couple of hours, and it costs hundreds of dollars. You want to buy the children's school books and so forth, when you eat right, etc. And so it's basically, it's about sex and so forth. So this lady now is in this band, and you just show up, and you're dancing around, you bounce her now, then you say, hey, I know you were playing this band, girl. And yeah, I'm playing this band, and you keep on around and so on. And then you start hooking up, holding on, and then you start going around her waist, and she only around your neck, and you're prancing, and then you wind up with each other, and then before the night's over, people make several trips. This one go and have some sex, come back party with the next one, sex, all the way like that. And what happens is that 9 months after the Carnival festival party, babies are being born all over the place. And this is what I think is Brazil's problem, because these kids now, family know that it was a Carnival baby. They call them Carnival babies. And they're ill-treated at home because they don't have the parent or the father support, and the mother might be just poor, whatever. And so they're like outcasts. Whenever the date of birth comes up and they see that this is 9 months after the Carnival, they don't hold them in high esteem. Now, of course, there's some married people who will, for whatever reason, have a baby 9 months after Carnival, but not necessarily that they were promiscuous at Carnival party time. And so these young people are now in Brazil, and there are generations of them. They're hopeless. They don't know the father. They, not treated right at home. They have abject poverty and want and all this stuff. And perhaps they find prostitution and drug business, to fit them and help them along. And so these are the scourges that Brazil is facing. The Carnival with the Carnival babies. And these Carnival babies come drug addicts, prostitutes, and scourge on the Brazilian society. And but what I do know too, if you have certain names and Calypsonian were to use that name to depict his sexual innuendos and so forth, then you're bad shape, because everybody's singing your name and so forth, Like, for example, there was a song about Charmaine. And it was, I think she was a flag woman. Flag women are those who hold a flag wearing short pants and long boots and winding up on the back of the truck and waving the flag. So the Calypsonian, I think, either call her Charmin or something, and it was wine, Charmin, wine, Charmin, wine, So Charmin for that time, and whenever that song is played, we hold her head down. Oh, there you go. So maybe you have to name the kids Mountain or Chicken Hawk or something that wouldn't be used in a sexual way. And so Brazil basically is facing the Carnival problem and the drug problem. So I'm going to try to see if I have two select suggestions here. Something has to be done about this drug trade. We just can't let it go on like that. It's ruining lives and societies and siphoning off precious resources that could be used to generate employment, better economies and so forth, a better GDP, etc. And I don't know if people will find this an invasion of privacy or intrusion or whatever. But male and female that are going down to the Carnival, maybe we should have them spit in a spittoon and generate a DNA profile, so that when these babies are born, they could do a DNA and find who the father is and let them know, well, you have a baby here in Brazil, and have a treaty that they have to pay child support. I think this is one way that maybe Brazil could help these poor people, because these babies weren't asked to be born, and parents might have been poor, and hoping for some happiness and some joy that weekend, and oops comes a baby, and it takes them to another level. And then the next carnival, another baby for somebody else. And so, if they have this DNA thing going, then they could track down these babies and these fathers and so forth, and ask them and compel them to pay child support and to be in the children's lives. Maybe send for them sometime to go to the country, but some of them might be married, and then that'll be a problem. But at least child support, and child could have maybe dual citizenship or something, so that they have a chance of moving and improving their lives.